Okay, this is part two. Tell us a little bit about your younger childhood stories that you just mentioned.
Well, one thing that my mom, I crawled up on a chair and I told her I was going to jump off that chair. And she says, "Oh, no, you don't. If you do, you're going to break your leg." And I said, "I'm going to jump." And she said, "No, you don't." Well, I jumped. I didn't break my leg, but she had to change my pants.
Tell us about your family, but with your sons and daughters,
Yes,
and where they were born.
Family and we had 4 children. We have Ruth, the oldest one, and then we have Dan, and then Mary, and then Paul. Ruth was born on the farm when we lived at my folks' farm, and Dan was born when we built that house over in Goshen, and Mary was born when we were back to the farm on my father-in-law's place. And Paul was born, I can't remember exactly where he was born.
Yeah.
It was one of the places that we lived. Yeah.
That the farm where Henrys live now, that's the farm you're referring to?
Yes, Henry's, my sister, my youngest sister, lives on the home farm now. They built a little house down by the one on the corner of the farm, and her daughter and her husband are farming the farm now.
And they called that the Doughty House.
We call that the Doughty House. Yeah, that's one of the famous things. And we call my mom and dad, we call it Mommy and Doughty, because whenever we get together, it's always the Mommy and Doughty reunion, or the different things that we talk about, Mommy and Doughty.
And you still have a lot of relation that are Amish, right?
Yes, I have 3 sisters that are Amish. Edna and Wilma and Clara. They're all Amish yet. And
They have big families.
yes, they have. Clara's got, I don't know, I think it's right around grandchildren and great-grandchildren, right around 100. And the others are not quite that big, but they have. And it seems like I was the only uncle on this side of the family. And what they do, a lot of times when I'm uptown, just the other day, I was uptown and a guy came along and said, "Hi, Uncle Marvin." Well, I'm not his uncle, but I'm one of their grandchildren or great-grandchildren, but everybody calls me Uncle Marvin.
And how did that influence your Christian life? Amish, and then you moved on to another.
Well, I didn't want to get married Amish, but Fannie Mae wanted to, because she thought we could maybe be an influence to the Amish people, and it did not work. Fannie Mae accepted the Lord when she was about 14 years old in one of the neighbor churches, and her mom, her Amish mom, took her to this church, and she accepted the Lord. And of course, then when I dated Fannie Mae, before we were married, she took me to every church in town, I think, and I thought that was the dumbest thing I ever done. But one night at the North Main Street Mennonite Church, I accepted. It was on a Thursday evening, and I accepted the Lord that night, and changed my life completely.
Tell us a little bit about your traveling across the world and the States.
Family and I, we really like to travel, and we went to 29 different countries and 30-some islands, and we took 13 boat cruises, so we had a lot of travel, and we really enjoyed ourselves.
Where all did you go?
Well, we went to one of the biggest ones that we took a boat cruise to the Baltic Sea. And we went to Norway, we went all the different ones around Sweden and Germany and a lot, Russia, a lot of different places. We went on that one trip alone, which took 2 weeks. And I was really surprised when we got to Berlin. The old Berlin Wall is taken down, and it's all new now, and it's a beautiful place.
And how about in the States? Where have you traveled?
We've traveled most of the states in the United States. We've done that with motorhome, and we've done that with the car. The motorhome, we went to Salt Lake City one time, and from there to Las Vegas, from there to the Royal Gorge, and then we went to Flagstaff, down through Phoenix, Arizona, down to Highway 10, and took it across Texas, which I thought we'd never get across. But then we followed the shoreline all the way down to Sarasota to spend the winter.
And on your travels, have you ever met any interesting people or famous people?
Well, when we were, when I was in business, went to Phoenix one time, and there I met Abdul Jabbar. He is like 7 foot something, and I couldn't believe that people can get that big, because I had to look up to take a look at him. Another time when we were traveling, we met Muhammad Ali. Now, he was not friendly at all, but Jabbar stopped and shook hands, and we had a couple little words. And outside of that, yes, I met other people, but I can't really remember all the different people we met.
Well, I think that's about all the questions I might have. If something else you might want to add, some interesting thing that you thought of during our talk?
One of the most interesting things, I think, was my children. Ruth is completely different than Dan, and so are the rest of them. But the most joyful thing that my mom and my wife and I had was with our family, because our family is very important to us. And now we have grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and great-great-grandchildren. And so our family is very, very important to me.
In growing up Amish, you had your great-grandfather and mother. Do you remember those?
Yes, my grandfather, on my dad's side, he used to come up and mend fences and work around the farm, and I remember him very well, and I remember Grandma too. But and then on my mother's side, his name was Jonas Z. Miller. My dad married a Miller, and then I married a Miller too. So we're pretty Millers all the way through. My Jonas Z. Miller, we used to call him Bystody, because he had white hair, and he lived with us for a while on my mom and dad's farm. And yes, I remember my grandparents very well.
Yeah. And heritage is very important. I know that as well. So that's part of the joy of life.
Yes, it sure is.
Okay, I think that's all for now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.